you for always showing up on this call. My name is Roma. I'm the customer service and sales team lead at Highland Park Lapidary, and I wanted to officially welcome you to our 46th Highland Park Live Interactive Webinar. This is the place where we share our knowledge, answer questions, and get tips and tricks all about the gemstone cutting and polishing arts. Before we proceed, let me know who are new to this call by typing new on the chat so we can welcome you. The chat box can be found at the bottom part of your Zoom. Yeah, hello. Hi, Bruce. Hi, Erica. Nice to see you here. And also, we wanted to greet all our customers and followers that are streaming with us live, both on our Facebook and YouTube channel. Thank you for always tuning in with us. And all right, I know everyone is excited for tonight's webinar with our guest speakers. We have Tyler Barnum and Brooke Sikos, owner of Arizona Rock Shop. If you have any questions during the webinar, just please type them into the chat window or raise your hand by going to the reaction icon at the bottom part of the Zoom and click raise hand. We'll address them during the Q&A portion. Now, without further ado, let's welcome our General Manager Sherman Rowland and CEO John Rowland, together with Tyler and Brooke, to kick off our 46th live interactive webinar with our intro video.
Good evening. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Well, great to have you. Great to be here with John. Just to share with you, this week has been the first week that I have spent with my brother face to face in over 3 years.
3 years.
Because he'd been stuck in China. So we are now in Texas,
and we
just
do?
Finished packing up. We packed up 12 tons of rock, sorted, graded, and packed 12 tons of gemstone. And our bodies are just beat.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
My fingers are hamburger.
Yeah.
But we got some really cool stuff. So
there's some crazy stuff we'll show you guys a video later of some of the stuff that we've been sorting. That's going to be going up on the live sale. I know many of you attend the live sales on Friday, and I think we're going to end up adding another one. But we've got some crazy, exquisite. John's been hoarding rock for 40 years, and he is letting go.
Yeah, I admit it. He who wins or has the most rock at the end wins, or I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. And I know that
I gotta go back
Brooke and Tyler, they're starting to hoard rocks, right?
Yeah, we're trying. We're doing our best.
Hey, we can help you on that. So, well, what we've got tonight is going to be a really interesting conversation because what I like about having Brooke and Tyler here is they are like when we look at all the different people that are involved in lapidary, there was a period of time when most of the folks in lapidary and gemstone cutting were getting older, like John and I, and then there's a whole bunch of new people coming in. And I don't want to place your ages in that, but I know that you're younger than me. And what I love is like that you guys are also discovering and doing things. I mean, you're a Highland Park customer. I know in the video you'll see, some of the saws, but you are out doing this, and you're located in Tempe, right? You're in Greater Phoenix area.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
And we have a lot of customers in Phoenix. In fact, John and I will be in Scottsdale, I don't know, a week or two from now. We're up over in Scottsdale, and then we'll be at Tucson and all that whole shebang. And hey, Larry from West Michigan. I know Larry. So your story is an interesting one. So talk a little bit about how did you guys get into, gemstone cutting, lapidary? Like, what was your path into it? Because I think that's for people to hear. It's an inspiration.
Yeah, definitely. Do you want me to touch on it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, it started out with us moving out to Arizona and hiking a lot. And long story short, finding a lot of different jaspers, different materials out here. And we took them to our local rock shop. He would slab them up for us. And it was just kind of a hobby. Fast forward a few years, I worked for a digital marketing agency and got sick of that. And basically, we decided one day that we're going to go all in and we're going to try to do this. And we're going to set up a shop online and we're going to buy the saws and do the whole thing. And fast forward a couple of years, we're sitting here now and we both do this full time, and it's a blessing. It's a blast. We're out here in our garage playing around with rocks all day.
Doing what we love.
Yeah. Now, where did you move from before you moved to Arizona?
I heard you just shout somebody out from West Michigan. I'm from Kalamazoo, Michigan. So I'm from West Michigan as well.
Yeah.
I'm from Metro Detroit. We met in college. So go Broncos.
Okay. Yeah. So both from the Michigan area. Got probably sick of it being really cold. And John and I are from Ohio. So we're from a little town called Yellow Springs, Ohio, which if you know Dave Chappelle, that's Dave Chappelle town.
Yeah.
It's kind of been connected with Dave. And so I think we moved out of Ohio a long time ago, probably 20, 30 years ago. We had moved because we were both in Silicon Valley. We did the whole high tech thing. John was in semiconductor. I was in software development. Gemstone cutting, lapidary was always kind of an interest. Our mother worked for the US Geological Survey. And I think that was really kind of the inspiration because we took a trip in the early 70s and we collected a lot of rock. Because in the time when you go down Route 80, like you could go through near Auburn and you could get the Chinese writing rock. It's just there, because then they mined it. And that was really the genesis for us. And then for you, and there's another person that we collaborate with called the Agate Angler. He's a doctor and he lives out in Yellowstone, and he's been collecting agates. He just has a fashion for it. And then, he's shooting videos, and then, one thing grows and now he's cutting and things like that. So, similarly, like found it through just hiking and finding cool stuff on the ground.
Yeah.
That's cool. And now, and how long have you had your business? How long have you been like full-time in the Arizona rock shop?
Full time now, we just hit our 2 years mark. So a little bit over 2 years, I believe that was September. So it really, honestly, when COVID happened and no one could go anywhere, that's when our Instagram really took off and we were just able to do everything straight online as opposed to the old, brick and mortar, old fashioned kind of way of it. So yeah.
That's it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I think too, I just wanted to touch on when we got started, we were lucky enough. I know we said, that this webinar is for educating people, making connections, connecting other people to other people. We always say, if we can't do it or we don't have it, we'll get you there. And that was one of the things when we started, the gentleman who started cutting our rocks, we would hang out there while he cut and he'd be like, you want me to show you how to make a cab on some old saw before I even knew anything? And he's like, just take some scraps. And he really helped us learn the names and learn about Tucson. We had no idea, before we got into this, that
still cutting with diesel.
Yeah. He still cuts with diesel. And we had no idea, so just that.
Not the most healthy things.
No.
Those little bumps on your skin, probably not a good
or
idea.
lighting on fire, because we've definitely seen that.
We've actually had one customer who burned his shop down 2 times, entire shop.
I can
from
see it.
Diesel.
I can see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So,
And he wasn't the first.
Yeah.
yeah.
No, he's not the first.
Yeah.
Probably not going to be the
But
last. Up in Oregon, you still got those people hanging out with like, I'm going to cut with diesel, a little bit of oil, it'll be fine. Drop the flash point down a little bit. Crazy.
Yes.
And it doesn't work well. So, well, that's that. I mean, that's a cool story, especially COVID, because COVID for a lot of people was like flipping point, like we saw with the gemstone hobby, gemstone cutting and glass really took off because people were at home and they're like, I want to do the thing that I wanted to do most of my life, but I'm doing the practical job thing. And they really took off. And some of the folks that we featured in the webinars are examples of people who COVID is really that turning point where they're like, you know what, I'm going to go all into the thing that I love. I'm sick of giving my time away to do something that selling time and not necessarily being connected to really enjoyment. Like Tyler, you talked about being in a digital agency and you're like, yeah, I did that one. Don't want to do that anymore. I want to do what I love. That's really cool. And you're making it work, which is great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll help promote you some more
Yeah.
and get you more business.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's always
we've got some.
it's always interesting to me that over, you know, I did Quartzite show for over 25 years, and for this, it was just the last couple years I did Quartzite when I actually started building the machines, and I just remember everybody's narrative was that Lapidary is dying, and if you only watched the shows, you know, going to local shows, because I used to do, I don't know, 14 or so shows in Texas then, and if you were watching the shows, it definitely looked like Lapidary was dying.
Yeah.
But I was importing rock. I did a lot of that. I had my first business, which was the rare earth trading company. I was importing rock, and I was bringing in the stuff from India, from Turkey, from some Brazilian stuff, a few other places, from Moroccan stuff, and I was selling a tremendous amount of rough online. I wasn't dragging all of it to the shows, and the more I was doing it online, the more I started believing, nah, it's Lapidary's not dying. Lapidary's changing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And if your measure is just what happens at the shows, then you might be fooled into believing it's dying, because the
Yeah.
shows are definitely impacted. You know, if you think about, you're going to load up all this rock, you're going to throw it in a truck or a trailer, and, you know, drag it over to a show. You're going to pay them a show fee. You're going to, you know, have to pay a hotel, you got to pay gas, you got to set everything up, and you got to trust that the people running the show actually believe it's not dying, and then they actually invest money in marketing and bring people into the show. And what was really happening, and I saw it in Texas, is that the clubs, a lot of the club shows, they weren't investing in marketing at all. So you go to the show, and I had shows that before would be 2-day shows doing $6,000 or $8,000, and these shows were dropping down to like the $2,500-$2,200 mark. And when you start getting there, it's like, no, you're not making any money.
Yeah.
You might be selling inventory at cost at best.
Yeah.
And then when you start looking at, like, you know, we're not doing Tucson this year. We pulled back from Tucson when COVID really started messing with things, because Tucson's not a small, you know, for us, particularly with all the equipment,
Yeah.
it's not a small endeavor, you know.
$50,000 or $60,000.
50 to well, it's 50 to 70,000, because you got trucking in, trucking
Labor.
out. You know, we sell a lot of stuff there. We don't bring back much, but you got all kinds of things you bring in with you, and we got storage of a semi truck trailer there. And by the time you pay for everything, and then you're there for almost a month, it's a big expense, and it's very disruptive to the business. And if you're not certain that the shows are going to promote properly, then you're taking a big risk. Like everything I heard this year was that the dealers in Denver got their butts kicked because the attendance was very poor.
Yeah, we've heard the
So
same.
then you look at the companies or the individuals who are really utilizing the web to reach more people, and you really see this as an incredibly powerful platform to be working. But it means you got to invest.
Yeah.
A biggest investment is investing the time. You guys have been fortunate because COVID actually pushed you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Because the COVID years for us were like fantastic, almost a problem, because we were getting so many orders. We had these huge backlogs, and we still are carrying a pretty big backlog, but we ramped our production up massively. Like, we're compared to 2020, we're probably almost 2.5 times more now.
Yeah.
And still need to ramp some more. So what that tells you is Lapidary is far, far, far from dying. There's huge interest in it. And it's really, how do we share more information? How do we engage more people? And kind of forget about what everybody is thinking is the right way to do it, which is shows. I mean, shows have their place. They're always going to have their place. But, when I look at Tucson and everybody's raised their booth fees pretty significantly, like 20% I think, that's why we said, okay, this year, no, we're not going to do it again. It's still a little touchy.
We'll do virtual Tucson, and we'll take the money that we paid and we're going to discount that for customers. So they're going to actually save money, not wasting money going to Tucson. And for those of you who've been on the live sales we've been doing each Friday, like the material that we're going to show a trailer, some of the stuff that's coming up. You can't find that at Tucson. I mean, and that's one of the things that we're really going for, that higher grade. We need to jump into some videos, because you guys have shot some great videos about material, especially the Jasper. So why don't we start? We'll come back with and the way to work this tonight. Any questions you have, put it in the chat. My team is then taking that's putting that into a spreadsheet that I can see, and then I'll make sure that I ask the questions. So as we go through there, if you have particular questions or anything like that, put it down. We want to capture that, because then when the video goes up on YouTube, we want to make sure we're handling the questions verbally, so then other people that are watching actually can participate, because they can't actually see all the chat stuff. So put your chats. I'll make sure then I'll ask Tyler and Brooke or John those questions, and we'll cover it that way. Why don't we start first with the introduction video with you, Brooke, when you're talking through the different Jaspers. So let's start there, and we'll see with questions whether we'll go through those or stop and then answer some questions. Ready, Joanna?
Hi everyone, my name is Brooke Sikos, and I am a co-owner and co-founder of Arizona Rock Shop. Today I'm going to inform you of our mission here at Arizona Rock Shop and discuss one of our specialties, the 5 fine porcelain Jaspers. Alright, so first things first, our mission. As a small business, we strive to bring our customers the highest quality natural stone products at an affordable price. We strive to support the American miners while sourcing our material from small batch claims. We work directly with mine and claim owners to bring our customers lapidary materials that would not normally be readily available to them. So, let's get into the 5 fine porcelain Jaspers. We have Morrisonite Jasper, Willow Creek Jasper, Blue Mountain Jasper, Bruno Jasper, and Royal Imperial Jaspers. So, the 5 fine Jaspers, what makes them so fine? Well, what sets these Jaspers apart is the hardness of the material, the shine that this material can take, and the truly intricate patterns that display on this material. Let's take a closer look. The first porcelain jasper we are going to discuss is Morrisonite jasper, aka the king of jaspers. Unfortunately, Morrisonite jasper was last mined in 1996 from its source in southeastern Oregon. The operation was shut down by the Bureau of Land Management due to unsafe mining conditions. Morrisonite is found within seams or veins of host rock. It is known for unrivaled, picturesque scenes and bullseye patterns. The intense colors that characterize Morrisonite are large products of iron oxide. There are 5 Morrisonite claims, with the first being filed in 1964, but was later dropped until 1971 when Ed Brandt and John Longwell filed for the first 3 claims. In 1973 came claim number 4, and 1975 came claim number 5, both from Charlie Karras. Interestingly, all 5 claims have one or more common borders, and most of the Morrisonite jasper on the market today only came from one of the 5 claims, called Jake's Place. The second porcelain jasper we are going to discuss is Willow Creek Jasper, mined north of Boise, Idaho on a modest and sparsely vegetated piece of land managed by the Bureau of Land Management. There are 8 claims. As of 2015, only 2 were being worked, one of which has been in operation for more than 70 years. The current claim owner, Larry Ridley, is a legend in the rock world and is still out there wearing out sledgehammers well into his 80s. Willow Creek Jasper displays a varied palette of both soft and lively colors, delicate pinks to celadon and willow greens, and gorgeous orbicular designs. A really interesting piece to note is that Willow Creek Jasper is extracted from thunder eggs, and only a tiny percentage of the jasper is mined fit for sale. Another piece to note, out of all of the Willow Creek jasper that we have cut, these 2 pieces are unlike anything we have ever seen. The pattern is unmatched, and it is absolutely gorgeous. The next porcelain jasper we are going to talk about is Blue Mountain Jasper, mined in southeastern Oregon near the end of the Blue Mountains. Blue Mountain Jasper was originally put under claim in 1967 by a man named Leonard Kopsinski. He also goes by Cope. Blue Mountain Jasper is formed in more of a nodule shape instead of veining like some of the other fine porcelain jaspers. It is known for its blue and green hues, orbing and colorful landscapes. Blue Mountain Jasper can have similar color combinations as Morrisonite Jasper, which is found about 80 miles north. We have personally cut a few hundred pounds of this material, and it has really grown to be one of our more favorite materials. Every piece offers something different, very inviting, and very rewarding. The next porcelain jasper is Bruno Jasper, mined since the 1930s in the Bruno River Canyon area in Idaho. Bruno Jasper is characterized by a sequence of overlapping oval shapes arranged in a circular position. Primary colors of this material range from creamy browns to tans. Bruno Jasper is also found in nodules or within thunder eggs, just like Blue Mountain Jasper, and is rarely found within veins. It should be noted that there is a rare variety of Bruno Jasper, referred to as Black Bruno Jasper, which showcases black jasper and a darker color palette. The last but definitely not least porcelain jasper is Royal Imperial Jasper. It is the only one of the 5 fine porcelain jaspers that is not mined here in the U.S. and is mined north of a small town in San Cristobal, Mexico. Royal Imperial Jasper is formed entirely as nodules that are small and flat in size, about 2 inches. They have a smooth and chalky outside, and they are known for its egg pattern. The deposit of Royal Imperial Jasper is the finest, largest deposit with egg pattern in the entire world. This is another material that we've cut hundreds of pounds of, and we have definitely had seller's remorse on some of the slabs we've let go. But it's just an amazing material, very solid, takes a high polish, and you can't beat those orbs.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love it. Seller's remorse.
Yes,
It's true.
we've had that. We were packing up Bruno Jaspers here, weren't we, John? I know there's so much
Yeah,
stuff.
I got a little batch I'm putting in the live sale.
Yeah. So somebody asked the question, when are we selling 12 tons? Well, I mean, we are that material that we just packed up will hit the warehouse on Monday. So I'll be unloading it on Monday. It'll start. We'll probably start feeding it in for it won't be on tomorrow's, obviously, but it'll probably be feeding into the next sale, because we packed it all really good. It's all labeled, so it's going to be pretty easy for us to do it. And John's got a cool product. He's actually designing these super badass rock storage bins made out of stainless steel, because everybody needs a better vertical way of storing their rock. And so maybe by next week, John, you could show a mock-up of that design of the rock storage bins.
I've got it.
I know you guys at Arizona Rock Shop probably need some good rock storage. It's trip. Yeah. So there's a couple questions. So you guys have an online store, right?
Yes.
So you got online. So we'll make sure that we put that up so that, people can find you guys. One of the questions that Ed was asking is, so talk to us a little bit about the distinction porcelain jasper. Where did that come about, and why are those classed as porcelain jaspers?
So I actually wanted to also, I'm going to piggyback with that, but when I did speak about the porcelain jaspers, I talked about their hardness, and I did just want to touch, because we got a lot of new people probably tuning in, that their hardness falls within a 6.5 to 7 on the Mohs scale. And for those who don't know, the Mohs scale is a scale that's used to determine a rock's hardness. It's rated from 1 to 10, 10 being the hardest. So for example, talc is a 1, calcite is a 3, the porcelain jaspers are a 6.5 to 7, and diamond is a 10. But so the porcelain jaspers, they fall on that higher range, making them harder, 6.5 to 7, which really means that they have a finer grain when their composition during the makeup process is more packed in, making it less porous, which makes it harder. That way it can take a higher polish and distinguish it different from, then I just say, a regular red jasper that tends to be less hard, more porous, things like that. I'm not sure, do you know where the porcelain came from?
Well, and it's kind of the feel of the material as well.
Yeah.
A lot of the fine porcelain jaspers, when you pull them off the saw, as long as your saw is running right, they come off almost polished. Those things, they come off beautiful and ready to go. It's the fine grain of the material, and it really just allows it to take that high polish and be used really well in jewelry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I know that because in that group of jaspers, imperial jasper is kind of the odd one out, because it's actually running a little softer, and some of its behaviors almost what I would call opalitic, because a lot of the imperial, you could nap arrowheads out of it without heat treating it. They're like Bruno, Blue Mountain, they're very, very hard. You could not chip an arrowhead out of those without a heat treat.
Yeah. Or without getting scolded.
Right.
Yeah.
That was another thing that we touched on too, cutting it, deglazing your blade. If on a trim saw to your slab saw, it's the hard porcelain will glaze over the diamond on your blade. And at least on a tile saw, it makes it so it hardly cuts it all unless you dress it well.
Yeah, it's really good to dress, I'd say, in between each cut, if not every couple cuts, when you're cutting such a hard material, just because, like Tyler said, it does get caked on there, which then your next cut isn't going to be as pure as it could if you just deglaze the diamond with a cutting block or a dressing block.
Right. Well, and one of the things Mary was saying that when she Googled this, I said also porcelain jasper title because of its orbalized patterns and unusual swirls. I know personally, I love the Blue Mountain at my home. Right next to my entertainment thing is this beautiful slab of Blue Mountain jasper that is just a stand-up piece, and it's
Yeah.
on a little stand, and I love that. Dale Hewitt's still mining that, isn't he, John?
Well, he actually exited the business. He's still running excavators and stuff, but I don't think he's commercially in it. I would say they've got so much material out of the ground, they don't need to mine it for a while.
Yeah.
he's
They were very productive in that mine.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the gentleman we got most of our Blue Mountain from throughout our time cutting it as well. Always a pleasure to deal with, and
Yeah.
always refunnels the high end stuff our way.
Yeah, well, John, you've known Dale for decades.
Forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good dude.
Yeah, we
Good
cut a lot of spheres for him out of the opal, butte and the blue opal.
Yeah.
We did Jaspers too. We did a batch of Blue Mountains. It's been about 4 years ago.
Yep. Longer than 4 years ago.
Well, it was a show right before COVID that I did.
Oh, you're right.
I was
You're right.
2019, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got
one thing,
some crazy Blue Mountain balls out of that.
That would be
one of the things that you mentioned was the claims being closed, and that's one of the unsafe practices, and that's one of the things that we've really seen is like some of the places when people do stupid things, like we were buying material out of was it in Davis Creek, the Davis Creek Obsidian, and I know we bought a couple containers out of there, and but that got shut down, and in part because of unsafe mining practices. I don't know if there's environmental stuff too. It is kind of in that California realm, but one of the principles when we buy material is we're also really looking at how do we, and I think you guys are similar to this, how do we make sure that we're paying a fair price to the miner so the miner is not doing stupid things and cutting corners. Like we buy a lot of material,
yeah,
and they can be successful. Like when we bought material out of Mexico, you've got to be able to pay, and you can't force people to pay on consignment. Like you need to give them cash up front so they can buy the diesel, they can pay the workers and all that. And some people wonder, well, okay, it's so expensive for the material. Well, diesel is not as cheap as it was 30 years ago. Or if you're going to run a 330 in there, you're not
cheap
going
as it was 2 years ago, dude.
I know exactly. Yeah. So one of the questions that Tim has asked was, are you able to dig on these claims, or do you just buy rock? So are any of those claims, are you able to go into any of those, or you're just basically being able to buy from those right now?
So right now we have a couple open invites to a few of them. Haven't been to them yet, but so as far as the Mescalero goes, a gentleman by the name of Jeff Hill originally filed for the claim back around 2014. He pretty much backed out the Mescalero, and then he gave claim away to one of his buddies, John. And that one is another one that produces a lot of the fine jaspers. But yeah, as of right now, we're just working directly with the miners. We haven't had a chance to go and dig it ourselves yet, but that's definitely on the list.
Yeah, and it's not open to the public or anything like that.
Yeah. You're not going to go there. Like you can go, I don't even know if Richardsons Ranch, whether you can go dig there anymore. I haven't talked to Johnny in a while.
Shut that down. Everything I've heard, they've shut that down because of the liability.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the trends that's happened in America.
Are very unfriendly to having other people on your claim, because if they get injured, it's a big problem.
Yeah.
Yep. In our facility, we're very restrictive, even letting people come into our warehouse, because if they get hurt,
you're liable.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Tim had another question. I'm just going to ask a question here. So Tim, yes, we have a reciprocal lap. So the R1N is the reciprocal lap, and the team can connect with you and get you information on that. A lot of the flat polishing is really done with that. A lot of the folks that are doing more production cutting, like Enter the Earth or ourselves or Andres Carrillo, they're using the big R1M reciprocal laps. We've sold a lot of those over this.
A lot of the hobbyists are using them now too.
A lot of hobbyists are using those.
Because the big thing
Stricklett's
is
got 4 of them.
The whole idea behind it is diminishing manual labor, because if you're wanting to be competitive, then you've got to not have too much of your time tied up into it. So that's a lot of our focus when we're designing machines like that.
Yep. And then Randy was asking, do you guys have any Blue Mountain for sale right now? Do you have any Blue Mountain?
We do. We have a couple of slabs. We always have a nice little stash and collection going. So anybody is welcome to reach out to us. We do most of our stuff on Instagram, and we do a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and we do have some Blue Mountain available.
Yeah, or email too. If anybody wants to email, I have my email up. I'll reply right back from my phone.
Yep. And somebody was saying the Omura site and Bruno are also in BML wilderness study areas and managed as wilderness, and some very steep slopes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that makes sense.
Yeah, some of it's out there.
Yeah. So for you guys, the Jaspers caught your attention just because you're out hiking. You're like, man, what's this? Yeah. And then you went and Google it and you're like, oh, this is cool. Let's go find some more. So that was kind of your intro and that's, because people like John is banded agates. He's a nut to banded agates. We're going to get you guys into banded agates, by the way, as well. Because if you like the Jaspers, you're going to like banded agates. And yours was from collecting as well. Just collecting. I mean, it was interesting.
I got started with Lakers.
Oh,
yeah,
Lakers.
That was Lakers.
Yeah,
we put a whole ton of Lakers. A lot of Lakers going into this live sale, but we'll probably do a separate live sale on the Lakers, because the Lakers they're pretty exquisite.
Yeah.
Yep. Jackie was also asking a question here. Was Purple Passion? Mining a Purple Passion. I think we just were looking at Porcellus and Purple Passion.
Yeah, Purple Passion. It's not been 20 years. I bought. Let's see. I know the guy that. Well, actually, there's 2 guys. I know the guys that own the claims on those. And the last time they worked it, I basically bought everything they produced, which was quite a bit. Although it's. I think we're getting close. I think I pulled maybe another barrel out of my stash here, but then evidently somebody went in to try and illegally mine it, made a huge mess of things. So right now the mine is a train wreck because of that. So, and that was probably about 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So certainly that's beautiful material there. Well, let's jump. Let me see if we got other questions here. We talked about, I'm trying to look at my sheet here. So Randy, Blue Mountain, Jackie, we talked about Jackie. Okay. So, and guys, be helpful for my team. Can you make these questions disappear when I've answered them? Because I can't see all the columns of the spreadsheet because I'm doing both the video and the spreadsheet on my laptop. So there you go. Thank you. Now I know what to look for, because I don't know if I've answered the question. Let's go to the video on the flash, because this is a really important piece around how to properly position material for getting maximum flash out of it. And then this applies to Hyperstein as well. I know some of the folks on the call are waiting for me to cut the Hyperstein.
Let's briefly list out the materials that are really orientation specific. You got the obvious one, which is Tiger Eye. You've got Obsidian. You've got Labradorite, Spectralite, Tiger. Did I say Tiger Eye? Tiger Iron can be a little bit orientation specific. And then Hyperstein and Salamaline. People don't think about Salamaline, but it's also very specific, you get a much bigger effect. And certainly with some agates, but for the chatoyant and materials with flash, that's like the primaries that I think we've been, we'll talk about tonight.
Yep. Why don't we roll that video of Tyler there talking through that?
Now, while we have reviewed the 5 fine porcelain jaspers, and we have discussed that their main
we got some more
characteristic
Jasper video.
is orbing, it should be noted that there is a variety of other jaspers out there that display high quality orbs. They are hard materials and they take a gorgeous polish. That piece right here is Imperial Jasper. Ellipso Jasper is another one that has gorgeous orbs. And you remember my story about the Morrisonite Jasper and the claim owner, Charlie Caress? Well, he also found a different deposit of material that does display some of the same features as Morrisonite, but it's called Carasite. It's a little fun fact for you. There's also an amazing new material out there called Dry Creek Jasper. And another one with great orbs is Polychrome Jasper. We definitely wanted to take the time to showcase this gorgeous piece of Ellipso Jasper. Comes out of Southern Oregon, but also displays gorgeous landscaping, orbs, warm colors.
Hi, my name's Tyler.
Hold up just a second before we go to this section. Pause the video there, Joanna. There's just a couple other videos I wanted, the pieces around this Jasper. So Ocean Jasper, would you put that in that class? I'm thinking, John, like we just packed up a bunch of Ocean Jasper. Some of those slabs are just crazy, like big Ocean Jasper slabs. There's other orbicular Jaspers too that may be useful for people to know as well. Can you cover those?
It's a different kind of orb formation. So if you look at Ocean Jasper and Poppy Jasper, that's a little bit different. Those are different kinds of orbs. They definitely have a different kind of a feel and how they would fracture as well. They're both pretty hard though. But the nature of the Jasper itself is different. Like if you try and fracture Ocean Jasper, you're going to get more jagged breaks. So I think that's kind of distinguishing that porcelain kind of amorphous, more smooth breaking. But then there's also Pope Creek Jasper, and there's also an orbicular Jasper that's a misnomer being called Ocean Jasper out of Indonesia as well.
Right. And I know when you were in Indonesia, you did find some other interesting material there that were kind of obviously different, because there's also
one or two things.
Yeah, just one or two.
Yeah. The problem with Indonesia, if you go over there with $100,000, you'd be broke in about a day and a half.
Yeah, this is crazy good stuff. So be looking for that. There is going to be some Indonesian material coming. So
I'm planning another buy trip, which I'm going to spend probably 2 weeks over there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Ferret out all the best stuff.
Yep. All right, now let's get to the video. Put it at the beginning of Tyler's video.
Hi, my name's Tyler Barnum, co-owner and co-founder of Arizona Rock Shop. And today we're going to be covering how to cut flashy materials correctly. We're going to cover rainbow obsidian and labradorite for the most part, and I'll also show you examples on the saw. The number one rule in cutting these materials is that you cut it the way that you see the flash or the color. Get the material wet, take it out into the sun, and see the flash. And that's going to be the way that you clamp it in or you cut it on your tile saw. Now we're going to discuss examining your pieces to help you decide on which way you're going to proceed clamping and cutting them. We have a few examples here of obsidian ranging from velvet obsidian to rainbow obsidian, as well as labradorite. We are going to review where and what angle you are going to cut these materials to ensure that you get the forward-facing flash that you're looking for. When it comes to rainbow obsidian, you can also use the color bands to indicate the direction to cut. You want to cut almost parallel with these color bands to ensure that you'll have your forward-facing flash after you're done. Labradorite can be a little bit trickier as there typically isn't as much banding, but you want to cut it how you see the flash, how you see that color when you're holding it in the sun. You want to line it up into your saw and cut it off just like that. You want to make sure you check each end of the rough so that no color dies out. If you're lucky enough to have the opportunity to select your own material, you will want to check for fractures, dimensions, make sure it fits in your saw, and most importantly, how easy it will be to clamp in and obtain that forward-facing flash you are seeking. One thing to note while cutting these materials is being okay with processing them down to smaller sizes. A lot of times you will have to cut obsidian the wrong direction to get it into your saw to cut it the right direction. Sometimes you want those large, beautiful slabs, but it just can't happen with the way that the flash is in some of the rough. A lot of times we don't get the opportunity to select our own obsidian, and we get amazing pieces that have the flash on a very difficult angle to cut. A lot of times those pieces we cut in half or we cut in thirds and we clamp them in and we cut smaller slabs. So at the end of the day, be okay with processing these stones down to smaller slabs to get that great flash.
It's also really important to note that when working with these materials, obsidian, labradorite, moonstone, it is really important to make sure that you are getting the piece wet, taking it out into the sunlight. I mean, look at that. It looks like a completely different piece. It really matters on seeing that flash, seeing how you're gonna cut it, seeing where the piece lights up. A lot of times the unpolished obsidian and even polished obsidian doesn't show flash until you get it wet or get it into the correct sunlight. Some of these obsidian right here are our most flashy from our collection, and on the angle that they're at right now, they completely look bland. So I think that is something to take into consideration when working with these materials is natural sunlight, water, correct angle in which the sun is projecting onto the piece.
So this is a great example of how labradorite can die out in color. We searched through thousands of pounds of this material at Madagascar Minerals, and I thought I found a perfect slabber that had the forward-facing flash, and proceeded to take the first cut off, and the color proceeded to die out. And even after that first slab, there's a little bit in the top there, and it just keeps going away. So that's one thing to check your labradorite rough. Check it on both sides. On this piece, I only saw that front side, got excited, and got a little ahead of myself. Now we're going to show you an example of cutting rainbow obsidian the wrong way and cutting it the correct way. We're going to sacrifice this half-done freeform that's been sitting on our shelf for the last 6 months. Here is that freeform cut the wrong direction. You can see the color comes back this way and this way. But if you were to cut it against the grain like that, you would get a black obsidian slab with absolutely no color in it at all. Yep. I'm now going to cut the obsidian correctly, and I'm going to want to cut it with the bands, just like how it was cut before. This is an example of the piece being cut correctly with the color bands and showing you the color. Now this same principle applies to any size piece, whether you're cutting on a 10-inch tile saw to a 14-inch Highland Park to a 24-inch. It's the same principles when you're cutting these flashy materials to get the forward-facing flash.
So, I mean, this is a piece of getting flash is where a lot of people struggle. Like they'll buy a piece of material, they'll think, oh man, this is great. They get it home, they cut it, and they're like, well, it kind of sucked. And then they didn't get it. John, I mean, you guys said before we started, you're like, yeah, that's how we learned is we cut things and it was not good. You know, like you miscut it and you're like, oops.
Yeah,
well,
so we were talking before we started about Tiger Eye too. You had that little piece of Tiger Eye. Let's hold that up because Tiger Eye is actually a great example of a material that you always want to cut parallel to the fracture plane. So like a vein, when you grab a Tiger Eye vein, the fibers sometimes will be perfectly perpendicular. And sometimes the fibers will be laying at like a 15 or 20 degree angle. And the mistake that people will make sometimes is they'll put that in their slab saw, and because it's this vein material, they just clamp it in the saw and then they'll cut it straight. But if the fibers are leaning at 15 or 20 degrees, every slab coming off there's going to be dead. What they have to do is put a couple of wedges in there to get that piece of vein leaning, so that blade, like if you have your piece of Tiger Eye that's a slab and it's got an angle on the end, then you want to tilt that up so the blade is perfectly parallel to that broken face. So when you are cutting the slabs off of it, you get the maximum flash.
Yep.
100%. And that can always
what other kinds of, go ahead, Tyler, say again.
No, I was just going to say that can always be the trickiest part with these kind of materials, and, you know, going to different shows and being able to pick out the rough, it really gives you an advantage because you can see that I don't have to do anything funny with this piece. I can put it in as is and clamp it in and cut it. So that's a big advantage of being able to look through and select your own rough. But a lot of times, you know, even the flashiest pieces, they're never easy. They don't make it easy usually.
Yeah, that's how we
well,
learn.
the shape of the piece may fight you a little bit.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, you had some examples where you were also gluing up pieces, and I know that we've also done a variety of, you know, do a cut or you know, wedges in that to get that perfect angle. Well, there's a couple questions we have here. iPad really wants to make sure that you add some Blue Mountain Jasper to the order, so make sure you got that down.
Okay.
We can handle it.
And then Jackie was hoping for like Facebook recommendations of, let me see if I can open this up, of orbicular Jasper, like a list on the Facebook page, recommendations for orbicular Jasper, or like educational. You know, I mean, that's a cool thing to do. I mean, a lot of them are here, Jackie, like what we just covered there, really covering the main orbicular Jaspers there of that kind of bigger form.
Well, and there's also a really great book out, and I can't remember who did it. I think it was one of the German guys, but it's a book on Jaspers. You guys have that book?
There's Mr. Hans Gamma.
Yeah. If you don't have that book, if you like Jaspers, it's a great book to have. There's actually a second. I think there's a second. Yeah. And those are really helpful if you're learning the Jaspers and you want to see good examples, because, you know, a lot of times if you do go to a show, if you are familiar with the material, sometimes people have a bucket of miscellaneous stuff and you look down and they'll be like, holy crap, that's a Bruno nodule laying in a bucket of, you know, cheap material, and you pick it up.
And that's honestly how one of the other ways we got our start. We have an opportunity to pick 3-4 acres of miscellaneous rough out here, and, you know, we're pulling Morrisonite, Blue Mountain, you know, La Riviera, plumes, everything out of here. And it's just like a lot of times people don't know what they have. So if you're familiar with it, you can find it hiding in places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve had a question. Is there a Wahi Jasper?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
There's an original
There
Dig
is.
Jasper from a ways back. I
Yeah.
heard it's a almost impossible spot to get back to, but we've cut a good amount of the original Dig Oahe. There's so many different Jaspers that come out of the region though.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Ed had a question. He had an old rockhound friend who sadly passed away that used to cut rainbow obsidian at 11-degree angle off the flat layers. Does that sound like a good practice?
That sounds about perfect.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of times if you cut it perfectly with those bands, you know, you could get a solid color. So about, 10 degrees, 11
To get
degrees,
that.
that would be perfect. And you can see a lot of
You
those
get a blend of colors.
Exactly.
Yep. Yep. Do we have any? We have some obsidian coming up for sale in the live sale, aren't we? This is a question Doug was asking off of YouTube.
Yeah, I've got some. I think the stuff that I have in there, there's some velvet and probably a little rainbow in there too.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
won't be for I don't think that'll be this Friday. I mean, it's going to be over
it
the
won't
next
be this
couple of weeks
Friday.
as we dig in. We got, I mean, it's just 12 tons. It's a ridiculous amount of material. Speaking about that, roll that video. Show people this kind of crazy little video of some of the stuff that is coming up. You guys are going to like this.
So it's a variety. They're fun to cut, and I'm not going to keep them anymore. I'm going to let them go.
Join us for the live sale. This will be going up over the next few weeks. So we also have something crazy. John he's a fanatic stasher of rutilated quartz. Top
Yeah.
shelf rutilated quartz. So we're like, damn, dude, where the hell did you have this? So
But I
Some
got like a
related
barrel
cards
of
coming up.
Botswana that we found too.
oh, Botswana. Oh yeah, we got some top shelf Botswana. It's crazy.
Big,
This guy's
big,
been stashing
big
shit for a long time.
nodules.
Big pieces. Some more questions here. I'm gonna jump to the questions here, and that is we talked about the rockhound friend. Knock that one off, guys. Cass and John had asked, do you mean that the cut must be parallel to the band? So this is about the positioning. Speak a
Yes,
little bit more to that, because I want to make sure people are
the-
clear on that.
It depends, like what we were just talking about, being parallel to the bands. If you're looking at something like Tiger Eye, you're parallel to the broken face of the fibers. Obsidian, what Tyler was talking about, what we were talking about with the 11 degrees, is you're looking at those bands and being almost parallel, just tilting a little bit so you get a blend of colors. If you're perfectly parallel, you may only get just one color, where the obsidian will have layers of different colors. So if you cut it on a little bit of an angle, then you can get blue and purple and lavender or gold all in the same, slab.
Definitely. 100% nailed it.
Al had a question here. He says, what type of glue is recommended to glue rock to wood for cutting?
We like.
So that's a good question. We tried a few different options. It's
tape.
not something that we do a ton. The first time I've ever done it was with obsidian itself, because I can live with some of the picture jaspers being at different angles. But so we ended up, I think our final
It's right back
final
there.
option was the super version of the Loctite
Loctite.
glue. We usually use Starbond for different options, different things for lapidary stuff, but the Loctite, let it sit for 24 hours, no issues at all.
No issues.
I
It held
couldn't-
up.
I tried. I couldn't get it off the wood.
We
What
were
have
gonna
you used, John?
Well, what are you using to remove that Loctite?
So that's we haven't made it that far
Yeah.
yet. I have 5 or 6
All
pieces
right.
of seed still
Yeah.
on the wood.
So all the old timers I know would use that the Elmer's white glue.
Okay.
And the reason
Yeah.
the reason they use the Elmer's white glue is that when you get down to the last slab, you just throw all those ends with the wood into a bucket of water and leave it sit for a few days, and basically the slab or the end cut liberates itself from the glue. Where with a cyanocrylate, you're going to have to go to acetone.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, they're on there pretty good.
Yep. Another question we had was, Steven says, cutting fire agate. Have you guys cut fire agate?
Yeah, so I've worked fire agate. As far as actually cutting it with a saw, I have not. You know, I've by hand with a Dremel worked in between each bubble to get it as close to the fire as I can. But we've never worked with fire agates large enough to where I was taking it to a saw and I was cutting different, you know, cutting it at the actual agate itself.
Generally, fire agate is not going to be like.
I think we're going to do a webinar on just cutting fire agate, because we've got probably a barrel of fire agate, old stock fire agate that I just am sending up. And I can tell you, I know mechanically, I understand it mechanically. I don't have the patience for it myself because I don't have the
That's what I was going to say.
But so we're going to find probably a couple of really great experts, because it is really a high art to cut fire agate right.
Yep.
Yeah.
But when you do it right, it is amazing.
Yes.
It's untouchable.
Yep. Hey, for you on the webinar, if you know somebody that we should be asking about that, please put that in the chat or direct message to any of the team members. Just put it in the chat. Because we really want to find somebody, because this is also one of those arts that I believe when people get exposed to it, some people love that. Like, remember the guy that does the crazy wire wrapping that we had here? I can't remember his name, out of Colorado. Just amazing wire wrapping and intricate. And so, you know, there's some people that are just really brilliant at certain things. So we want to find that person or people within with the fire agate. I've got Nick had a question. Can the HP16 saw tilt to an angle? How's this accomplished? I think this is for positioning. John, why don't you talk a little bit about how you position?
The vise on any saw, I don't think there's any vise on any of the production saws that are out there that actually does tilting. You can obviously tilt the rock in the vise. Myself, I prefer a vertical style vise for clamping materials you have to try and orient more than
So vertical is like this rather than like the clamp.
The horizontal clamp is definitely a little harder to get angles on. It can be done, but it's just a little bit more work. The vertical vise is more easy because you can grab front to back and then angle the rock as you're tightening up on it and be able to.
Do you guys have a vertical vise on your
They
saw?
Got horizontal.
No, we got a 14.
Get you hooked up on that. We got those things in stock. That you can put that vertical vise on there. You can have two different vices. And for the stuff that you're cutting with positioning, you definitely want the vertical vise.
It will definitely make our lives much easier.
Yep. Talk to the team. I mean, we also got special deals going. So you're like inner circle.
Love it.
And let's see. I've got a couple more questions here. Are you guys going to be at any venue in Tucson?
We won't be vending this year. We'll be there as shoppers, and you can order from us online. We'll come and meet you there.
Yeah.
But we won't be there vending this year.
We're also going to be there. The team's going to be some cool stuff where people are winning stuff that they can find us at Tucson Show. You're going to get stuff from us. So there's going to be some cool things happening. So watch that from the Highland Park side. I think John and I are going to be rolling in there towards the beginning of the show. And so we'll be dropping, where we're going to be at. And if you connect with us, get a photo with us, you're going to get something. So the team's doing some cool stuff like that. Al said, sounds like Water Glass is a favorite. What is the name brand? I'm not quite sure what
Yeah,
you're talking about that valve.
It's sodium silicate. There's a number of comments that came up in there. You can get it from, I think Home Depot sells it, but you can also get it from any generic like chemical supply online. It's not toxic, so they'll ship it. It's not that hard to get, but it's sodium silicate.
Yep. Okay. Capacity, that retro vise is about 4 inches. It'll hold about a 4-inch piece. Is that right? Sounds about right. About 4 inch.
4-inch. And I got people bugging me to make a bigger one. I just haven't had time to do it yet.
We actually have a great design that Glenn, I forget Glenn's last name, but Glenn made this badass design. So we just need to execute on Glenn's design. Glenn actually lives out in Arizona as well, one of our customers. So let's see if there are any other questions. I think we've actually got every question answered here. So it's great to have you guys on with us. I was happy that you guys did this, and we should definitely try when we're out there. Joanna will get you connected with you guys are on WhatsApp, right?
We're not, but we can download
You're not
it.
on WhatsApp. I mean, come on, he's a digital marketing dude. Come on.
I know.
I'm gonna give you shit. So I mean, WhatsApp's a good way to reach us, or Facebook. You know, especially John. John's chronically on Facebook all the time. You know, instant. So, you know, we should certainly meet in person when we're out there. And for all of you that are joining us, like, it's great you all here. We've had like 100-some people on here, and we're going to be, as we work on the webinar series, we're going to be not doing them every single week because simply we've not had the capacity to line that up as easily, but we will be doing something at least once a month. Our goal is to probably have 2 a month until we get enough people in advance, because obviously it's a lot of planning of getting people scheduled out. So we'll keep you appraised on as we do the next webinars together. And is there information that we can post for the Arizona team? And then also following that with also, there we go. So here's the Instagram for the Arizona Rock Shop. And you can scan the QR code. That's probably the best way to reach you guys, correct?
Yep.
Or email.
Yeah, we ended up doing almost everything through Instagram. It's usually the quickest turnaround, almost instant.
Yep. And then certainly for us, like, we definitely invite you to sign up for the live sale. The team put a link to the live sale in for the browser. So the live sales tomorrow. The live sales are ridiculously fun. Like I know a number of the folks here that are on this webinar have also been in the live sales, and they're really fun. We definitely invite you to come. They're free. And you'll get to see material. And John talks about the history and where the stuff comes from. He's like Mr. Encyclopedia. So if you click that link there that we put in the chat, that signs you up. And once you sign up once, you don't have to keep signing up. And then we'll send out a link to you. It's a personalized link that comes out the Friday of the sale, of each time we do the sale. So sign up for the live sale. And then certainly if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to our YouTube channel. These and other videos are going to be up. So subscribe to the YouTube channel here. And you can do that by going the link on that the team put on the thing, or also you can do the QR code on that. And then one of the things that we really appreciate for you guys is give us a 5-star review. If these webinars help inspire you, give you that extra little tidbit of information, go click the link here, give us a Google review, give us a 5-star review. Hey, I like it. I like the speakers. It really just motivates people. And if the Arizona Rock Shop, if you guys do you have a Google review page thing?
We do.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So give them a Google review. I mean, they're here, they're doing this, we're all doing this for free. And we're really wanting to help you all really succeed in your art and really have inspiration and have the tools to take time out of the equation for you to really gain mastery in whatever form of art that you're really pursuing. So it's great to have you here. Great to be here with my brother in the same house, which is amazing. So great here. And we'll look forward to them meeting you two in person. And also for any of you that are coming to Tucson, please let us know. We'd love to connect with you. We'll be in Tucson for a while, so we'd love to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Tony.
I saw there was a couple other quick questions. Dan asked
Okay.
whether the 16 comes with a vertical vise. It does. And then Seashores, about your bearings on your M3, contact the staff. They'll get with me. We'll get your bearings figured out. And Eddie, get the staff to connect with me. We can do a call.
Yep. Very good. Thank you very much, and have a good evening, everyone. Good night.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye.
good one.
Bye-bye.